Today I want to talk to you about protection for you and your family on the road. This is very important to us who are on two wheels. Here's why. Because we never ever know when somebody's going to run a stop sign, a stoplight, make a left-hand turn in front of us, pull out from a driveway, back out. We don't know what's going to happen to us. And you know, we don't have a lot of protection around us. So what I want to talk to you today is about protection for you and every member of your family. And how do we do that? Well, first we ask this question, and I want you to think about this in your own mind. How many of you, looking at this tape, think that the guy next door or the guy down the street or a neighbor or a relative is going to go to their insurance agent and say to that agent, I want you to sell me all of the liability insurance you can sell me just in case I hit someone? It isn't going to happen, is it? No, we know better than that. People go to their insurance agent and say, what do I have to have? Or maybe they say, give me more than the minimum. That's pretty rare. In about 85 or 86% of the cases, they're getting the bare minimum that the state requires them to have. And that's usually $25,000 of liability coverage. And you know, and I know, and we all of us who ride know somebody who has had a serious accident which is not their fault, which has left them hospitalized, which may have left a rod in their leg, or they may have lost a foot, or they might have lost a leg, or they had a severe knee injury. Any of these injuries that are going to be with them for the rest of their life. And you know what? That $25,000 of liability coverage is not going to be enough money. So what's the solution? What's the solution to this? The solution to this problem is you the rider, you the owner of the motorcycle, you can buy more coverage. Why would you buy more coverage? Because that's the only way you can get the protection that you need for yourself and members of your family. Here's how it works. When you buy a liability coverage of 100 or more, or even at 25, but 100, 300, 500, whatever that number is, you're going to be able to get the exact same amount of uninsured motorist coverage and underinsurance motorist coverage. Why is that important? Let's assume that the person that hits you has $25,000 and your medical bills are $100,000. Pretty serious injury. But that you're out of work also. So you've got lost wages. I don't know what that's going to be, but I know you're going to have this $100,000 medical bill. And remember this, think about this. Most motorcycle injuries are lower leg injuries. Most of those medical bills begin at about $40,000 and run to about $80,000. And you may have good health insurance, but you're going to have a rod in your leg. You're going to have a permanent injury. It's going to affect you the rest of your life. Every time it turns cold, you got a rod in there, that rod's not going to heat up. You're going to be in pain. So how are you going to get compensated when this guy has $25,000 of coverage and he probably doesn't have any assets? And if he has any assets, they're in joint name with his wife, so you can't touch them. And you could say, well, I could hire a lawyer and sue him. Sure you can. Sure you can. Here's the problem. If $25,000 is all the coverage, then that's what you're going to be stuck with, unless you have bought extra protection. You've increased your liability coverage on your policy so that you get the underinsured and uninsured. Uninsured in case he has no coverage, underinsured because no matter what he has under South Carolina law, if your injury is severe enough, you get to look at the underinsurance and you get to add that in to what he has. For example, worked on a case just recently. The person that caused the injury had $100,000 of coverage. My people, unfortunately, had not heard this talk, and they only had $25,000. But they had 3 vehicles on that policy. So they had $25,000 of uninsured. Well, he was insured, so that didn't count. But they had $25,000 of underinsured on each vehicle. So they had $75,000 of available underinsurance coverage. So we were able to collect the money from the other person, the guy that hit him, plus the $75,000 of underinsurance. It made a big difference. It made a big difference in their care and in their future. However, it still wasn't enough. Why? Because the injuries were so severe. So how are you going to protect yourself? You're going to protect yourself by buying policies that's going to give enough protection to you, and not just you, but your loved ones. You see, a policy protects you and every resident relative living in your home. Let me tell you that again. Your policy protects you and every resident relative living in your home. So, if your ne'er-do-well brother wants to move in with you, check his policy first, because that underinsurance will help you in South Carolina. Again, look at the policy. What is the liability coverage? Policies run this way, 25, 50, 100, 300. But it's the first number, that 100, that gives you the protection. The second number in a policy has to do with how much the company will pay no matter how many people are injured. And those of us know, we know you're not going to have more than 2 people on your bike. But the underinsurance is what you really need to focus on, and that's the purpose of this video, is to get you to go and talk to your agent and up your liability coverage. And you say, well, Tom McGrath, that's going to cost a lot of money. No, it's not. Here's the secret. Liability coverage is based on the number of accidents that happen in your area, how much the insurance company pays out, what their overhead is, and how much profit they need to make. That's all calculated. So when you buy more coverage, the premium is actually a lot less. You'll have your base premium that they would charge you for $25,000, and then you have some additional premium. For example, on a $100,000 policy in South Carolina, the average increase in premium will cost you $20 a month. That's an increase over a $25,000 policy. So for a couple of $100 a year, you could have $100,000 of underinsurance coverage. Don't you think that's worth it to protect you and every member of your family? And I say every member of your family, again, remember, in South Carolina, you get to add policies together, plus you get to stack your underinsurance on each policy. So if you've got 3 or 4 vehicles on the same policy, we're going to be looking at all of those underinsurance coverages if the person who hit you doesn't have enough coverage. And again, I have to tell you, they're never going to have enough coverage. Believe me, trust me, we've been doing this a long time. They're never going to have enough coverage. Take the worst case scenario. You know somebody that's lost a leg. $100,000 is nothing. It gets cheaper the more you buy. So if you do anything today, you learn anything today, it's that the more you buy, the cheaper it gets. Go out. Talk to your agent. Tell your agent you want to buy more. And the agent's going to say, you're not going to run into anybody. You've got a really good record. And maybe you have. Maybe you have a really good record. But in all the years that I've practiced law, I have never known anyone who believed that they were going to be hit. It just doesn't happen. And you're sitting there today and you're saying to yourself, well, it's not going to happen to me. But if you've been riding any length of time, you know someone that it has happened to. It happens. And there's not much we can do about it other than try to pass some legislation or make ourselves more visible. But that's really not the answer. There is a way to get yourself protected, and that is buying more coverage in case you hit someone, because, again, you automatically are going to be getting the uninsured and underinsured. You're going to have that available to you. Don't try to do this by yourself. These policies are very, very, very technical. Some policies have provisions that don't allow you to stack without the consent of your insurance company. You must have an attorney to look at your policies, read the language, because if you try to do this, if you accept money from the other person's company, you will have waived your right under your underinsurance. So, get it done. I'll see you on the road. Keep the shiny side up and ride safe. Remember, they're out there. They're everywhere. And if you're not aware, they're going to get you.
We hope this presentation has been helpful and that you'll make certain you've done all you can to safeguard your future. If you'd like to talk about your insurance coverage, call the law offices of Tom McGrath at the number on your screen. Thanks for your attention, and please drive safely.